Exactly. So like if I don't, dude, I know that you work at a print shop, correct? But like if I don't set an alarm, I like would sleep through. I would not make it to work. I wouldn't have time to get stuff done.
Oh well, yeah. So like I start work at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the alarm has to be on or nope, nobody like in a normal being a normal human being, nobody wakes up at 4 o'clock. Nobody.
No. And like it's to the point now where like even on a like I only work 3 days a week, right? Because I just work longer shifts. But the like my cats are so fucking used to getting up at like 4:45 that even like on a non-work day, I have to get up at 4:45 to feed them because there's five of them, and they will like come in the room and be like, hey buddy, I know it's 5:46, but like I normally get fed at 5:45. I just want to let you know what time it is. Like, dude, that every day, every fucking day.
Luckily, like I get up at like 4:20, 4:15, 4:20, and my wife will get up at 6:30. So like occasionally our old dog would be impatient and need to go out at that time, but our new
Yep.
dog just doesn't care. We'll wait for mom because mom is the world to him. So
You lucked out. I grew up with dogs, and like those dogs were like just as regimented. Like they were like, we gotta get up, we gotta go eat, we gotta go out.
but yeah, but
Yeah,
it's mom that's doing it, and it's not me. So I can squeak out of the house and be done.
yeah. You've lucked out. You've lucked out on this proposition.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself because otherwise I will not. And a little bit about yourself, I guess.
I'm Mike Frantz, old order, old school. Um, I started to organize events because my schedule is too erratic to actually attend anything else anybody plans. So that's
That there it is. And
yeah,
that's
that's it.
kind of the topic for today, which is like talking about organizing events. I was actually I just drove back from Portland. I was just talking to Cam, who's also he organizes events out here on the West Coast for the Horde guys, and I don't care. It's probably he doesn't care about talk, but they have like a Lord's House type event going down next weekend. And I was just trying to like talk him. I was like talking through his logistics for that, but um, yeah,
We,
let's talk about the logistics. Considering we have an event coming up, or by we I mean you.
logistic wise and like private events, like what Cam's about to do, like a Lord's House thing. Old
Yeah.
Order just did one in August. It'll be the third one we did.
Where do
So
you guys go? Because I mean I'm familiar with the area. Do you guys have a place where you've like got it staked out or?
so this is the third year that we've done it in a row, and we have done a different place every single time.
Okay.
My thing is I hate cities. I hate all you people from cities. Just saying,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know,
I get it.
uh,
Understood.
I get anxiety. The little bit of anxiety that I do get comes from going to a city, traveling, not being able to, just shoulder to shoulder people, public transit, all that stuff. It's for the birds. So the events the private events that we throw for old order guys is we get out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So this place I'm gonna write a report, which is
Okay.
simply just gonna
Good.
be a photo dump. But since nobody knew it happened, it doesn't matter how long it takes me to do it, right?
100%.
So this last place that we went needed GPS coordinates to where the building is located that we're going to go to. You had to drive through a creek,
Yes. Good. Good.
and yeah, there was nobody around for miles. It was absolutely beautiful. But that's the kind of places that I like to go if we're going to do like a retreat type of a thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Chalice, where Chalice is its own thing. There's no cell reception. You are just in the woods, but
Yes.
everything's taken care of.
And I didn't get to go this year. It just happened last weekend. I believe
Yep.
Mr. Manilakis was there, so I think he's probably gonna do something about that. But dude, I missed a hell of an event. I don't want to give away any of the stuff that happened, but like I got pictures and stuff. And I was like, fuck, I should have sucked down the PTO and just gone. But
Yeah, I had an idea for Urza's auntie like 6 months ago. I sent it to Jeff, and I was like, "Hey, this is a cool idea." He's like, "Dude, are you coming to Chalice?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "All right, let me send you what we're doing." And
yeah,
like, it was like just like head explode. the format's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for these guys to experience it. And then I just gotta like bite my tongue until like all this stuff's released.
I know. Like I don't want to. Like I wasn't there, so I don't want to ruin it. But man, I was like I'm not very good at like at Urza's Ante, right? Like the whole like draft building. I'm terrible. I'm fucking terrible at it. But it's just fun to like go watch the guys who are good at it be good at it.
Yes. I'm right there. Like listening to your podcast, I think I'm the same type of player and deck builder as you are. Like I can net deck and tweak a deck a little bit, but like I'm not a good player, and I'd rather just cast fun cards so it doesn't look like I'm not as good a player as people may think I am. You know?
Yeah, like I need the deck as a crutch, right? Like I need it to like fucking get me through because I'm not gonna get a deck through. Like it's not gonna work in reverse.
Yeah, you can't make a creative deck, and neither can I, and then expect to like pull a 50% win rating. Like
No,
I'll just
no, no,
tank,
no.
I'll just tank a complete homebrew. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried it for one derby and I was like, I'll never do this again. Like it was terrible for me. It was terrible for all my opponents. Like the okay, so let's talk your upcoming event slash how like your thought process framework, I guess is probably a better way of saying it, on
Yeah.
building
So
events, right?
okay, so let's get back to this topic of building events, and I will precipice this whole thing is that I was just over at my dad's, like I told you.
Yeah.
So I definitely already had several beers while I was over at my dad's, and now I'm going to come
Good.
back to this. I'm loosey goosey, and I'll just rattle. So feel free to just stop me at any point.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. So anyway, so the idea of planning an event, which is what we're here for, right? Is like, what are the details you need to work out, feel out? And so the first thing that I wanted to do when I started like wanting to plan an event is just, you know, what's the idea? What's the premise? What do you want to do?
Yeah. A mission statement, if you will.
A mission statement. Yeah. What's the plan of attack? And then go for it. Then I think so like anybody can be like, oh yeah, I want to throw an old school event. Well, what's the theme? What are you going to do? And we don't necessarily have to be like the wives and you know a 16-year-old girl that's going to throw a very themed birthday party, whatever. But we still like the little tie-ins of what the theme is going to be. But I think too many thoughts going through my head at the same time.
That's
But
okay. I got some stuff for you here.
yeah, go ahead.
So like
lead.
Thrash Bash is a good example, right? Loosely tied to a movie that nobody's seen except for Dave, right? Like
Yeah.
like guaranteed. Like nobody knows who the like
and Brian Limbacher. That's about it.
Yeah. Like they're the only two dudes who even own a copy of that movie. You probably can't even like find it on like YouTube or anything. Like
Yeah.
that's I think a good theming. Like to me, it's like how do you differentiate between a get together, like just like a Wednesday night meetup or a weekend meetup, and an event? And I think you have like, and you're right, it's like an idea. So not this upcoming event, but your last event was an Annie event, right? Where you use like Card Kingdom pricing. Like you went over it on Brian's podcast, so I don't want to like retread on it too much, but like that's an idea, right? That gets people showing up. Like that's something different than just, hey, let's meet on a Saturday, drink some beers and play some cards, right? And just scale. Instead of scaling up, we're scaling up, but with a new idea.
Okay, but I don't think I can get there without first doing a decent event. So let's now rewind before my
That's a
first
good point. Yep.
before my first GloryCon. I had just gotten into old school. I think I got into old school in 2018. I bought some eBay, fourth edition revised, Goblin Balloon Brigades and started building a red deck. And I found out that Eternal Weekend was a thing and went to the first Eternal Weekend in 2018. The month before, I ended up buying a Ruby and a Chaos Orb, and then it just snowballed from there. Realizing the kind of people that come out for old school was just awesome. And then I was just like salivating along with Levi, a friend of mine, John, just like, all right, what is the next event we can get to? We ended up going to the Bearded Dragon, I think in December, which Paul Da Silva was ended up being there, and he was playing his all alpha deck, unsleeved.
Oh yeah.
So like just pinpointing points in time from all these podcasts. Like, okay, then that happened. And then just trying to look at the calendar, like what I can go to, and everything that was going on, I just couldn't get to because of the crazy work schedule that you and I work. Like you might work 3 days a week, but you're working every other weekend or rotating weekend, and it's just hard to go to things. And so I was like, all right, I think I want to host an event now, so that I can pick the date that this event is, and see who all will show up. And I think anybody can just do that, even if it's just a bar meetup. Like, hey, I'm going to do a bar meetup. And to your point, what is the difference between a bar meetup and an event? And I think when you're throwing it for the first time, everybody is just going to treat it like a bar meetup. This is a nobody that's just trying to get people together. How do we take him seriously? And that came down to that first year of promoting and just being a whore to just roll this out to the people, to the point where that Eternal Weekend in 2019, I dressed up in a Civil War costume, and everybody that I had met locally gave them a stack of business cards to, like, hey, all of your opponents, you're going to give a business card to, and you're going to invite them to this stupid event called GloryCon.
I have one of those, dude. I still, I'll find it. I think I still have it down in my like drawer of shit. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I felt it was weird being dressed up in that crazy getup that I actually went to Gettysburg to purchase from some
yes
reenactor place. But like, it got the point across that no, guys, I am for real. This event is going to happen. Like, you're going to want to come. And then it also, like, building up to that event, there's a little bit of backstory to that. I can rewind a little bit more. Sure. But once I started trying to get that first event rolling, and then I started getting people to actually buy tickets, I was like, all right, I got to reward these people for, just stepping up to a new organizer to just, thank you for that. So just trying to make the best event that I possibly could, so then that led into what the swag would end up being, and the GloryCon card, the swords, the plowshares, and stuff like that.
Like literally a legendary card too, because I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it's the only proxy card allowed to be played in derbies is the GloryCon swords to plowshares. Could be wrong about that. I don't think I am though.
Yeah, nobody bats an eye at playing it, and
nobody.
It actually, like, anytime I've seen them like post on Discord, they're immediately bought.
Yeah, I have not seen any up in a long time. I saw one 2 years ago, I want to say.
I think I gave Jeff Mangus 5 quote artist proofs, just, I think it was like 95, 96, 97, 98, through 100. And I think he still has probably 3 or 4 of them.
So he's a grumpy old man. He probably still does have them.
Yeah. And he's got a price in his head. That's what they're worth. And he'll just keep them because whatever,
he doesn't care. Yeah. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, I know. Yeah. Like the so you have the idea and you've gotten motion on like selling tickets. I think when I talk to like people like Sean Sullivan, Cam, other guys who are trying to like make events, Dave out in New Mexico, how did you find a location? Now I know we are from the same place, so I know of the Dobbin House. I've known of it since I was like 3 years old, like just because of where I physically lived at. But like, how did you get an event location that fit your budget? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that seems to be the hardest thing for people to do.
That is the hardest thing, at least on my end. Now, I say that's the hardest thing on my end because I've done a couple events, but like, the things that I think people don't realize is, like, there are a lot of other hard things to do, like parking, lodging, the drink situation, the food situation, purchasing prizing, handout cards, the actual tournament source, software, the the match slips, like all those little tiny things build up to like a fully detailed package on what you want your event to be. Those things just go seamless to a well-run event that aren't taken lightly. So like the DFBs of the world have that stuff. It's second nature. You don't even think about all those things. It just happens.
Yeah, they're planners. Yeah.
But like, so the venue thing for anybody that's seasoned or wants to do an event, it's the price of a venue, like what you said, the alcohol situation. And I actually honestly, like, anytime we go out, I ask, it's like, hey, what's this? What's that? I found a sweet, I got invited to a bridal shower thing about 4 months ago. It's in the middle of nowhere, Spring Grove. You may know where that's at.
I do.
It's like,
I do know where Spring Grove is at. Yeah, yeah.
literally in the middle of nowhere. You can't see anything except woods.
Yeah, it's just like a post office is like the street. It's not even like a. It's not even like a. There's not a cross street. It's just like, like
Yeah.
last time we're talking 20 plus years, but like literally a post office, like one building to the right of it, and that was it.
Yeah, it's a street and there's a paper mill there, and that's about it. There's a
Yeah.
school over here. Yeah, it's all backwoods shit. But there's an old country club there, and we went there for the bridal shower. And I was talking to the lady, and I was like, I know she's not going to spend a fortune for a place like this. It was a very, very nice place. And I was like, I hope you don't mind me asking, but like she only had it for the evening. I was like, how much did this cost? And she's like, oh yeah, it was like $500 for the evening. I'm like, the whole evening, the whole day. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, like no minimum, like on alcohol. Crazy.
Yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, and there's, I could bring in all my own alcohol, I could bring in my own food. Like, that's a dream situation. So you're always just asking around at these venues to try to find that best place. And it's not really cost effective when you start getting into cities and just looking at venues to try to find. It's very, very hard. That's why a lot of them end up being in, like, I know the Philly guys did the Balance in like a church basement.
Yeah.
It's perfect. They didn't mind what was going on, and it's cheap. Dave's got a super sweet spot up in Boston.
He's got a good deal.
Oh yeah, he's got a good deal, and Mario is just thrilled with the amount of alcohol sales that they do.
Correct. Yes.
So the idea, when I first started spinning an event, I was just looking at my local community center. I could get that dirt cheap. I think like $250 for 5 hours, whatever. I'd figure out food. I'd figure out my own alcohol. But like, who the hell is going to come out to, middle of nowhere without any kind of lodging within 30 minutes? So then that got steered towards, well, what is a good place that does have lodging for people that might want to travel? And we steered towards Gettysburg. And then, oh, well, if I'm going to do Gettysburg, I'm going to do the Dobbin House because that's just a landmark thing. That's what I wanted to happen. And when I talked to them, they were willing to do it in the off season. And so then that's when the price got reasonable.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you do that in spring or fall. Like there's
and I've even talked about moving that into the summertime, and they were like, there's no way, because they literally will schedule bus tours. They will unload a bus, feed them all in that room, get them out. 30 minutes later, there's another bus. They make
that's their money. That's their money season.
Hand over fist. Yeah.
I should also re-mention, for those of you who are not from the Gettysburg, from like the Cumberland Valley, the whole like dressing up in like Civil War regalia, there's more than one shop in Gettysburg that does it. Like, it's a thing people do. So don't think that anybody's weird in here for having dressed up as a Civil War soldier. That is strictly a South Central Pennsylvania thing that only me and you have probably thought about. Like people from like Antietam don't dress up and like go like talk about Civil War shit, right? But in Gettysburg, that shit's fucking normal. Like, that's something you do in middle school and stuff. Like,
yeah, that is true. Yeah, there's the annual middle school field trip to Gettysburg to see people. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just for like people not from the valley, for lack of a better term. Yeah. Okay. and you picked out Dobbin House, which obviously makes sense because A, it's large enough to hold an event in, and B, it's the history behind it. I mean, you can just Google it. The bottom, like, integral with regards to the Civil War slash the Battle of Gettysburg. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Us as guys don't need too many like on theme points, but it's really nice when they all just connect like a chain,
right.
and it just works. So that was the goal spot, and it just happened to work out that the price is right. And I think that's like a lot of people have held events in breweries. I think Sean's last
The,
event last summer was in a brewery.
the Friday was at a brewery, and then Saturday. Where did we play Saturday? It was at a different location, but they were like close to each other. Saturday we played at the actual like
Swedish.
club. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But breweries, again, we're dudes. We don't need something fancy.
No.
But being able to just find a place that's cheap and has alcohol, that's the check marks. That's what they are.
Yep.
That's the hardest thing, and you just ask around for venues everywhere you go. Just ask, what did this cost? I've been trying to find something in Amish country for 3 years to do in the summertime, where like you can actually see like cornfields and Amish like horse and buggies and stuff, and all those venues are just crazy expensive.
Have we could talk offline about this, but have you talked to some of the families about that? Like, I'm sure there's a family or two that would be willing to look the other way to let some middle-aged men come out to the field.
Well, I would go that route, but I don't want a bunch of middle-aged men sitting in a barn, not air conditioned. That's
Yeah, in the summer that might be a tough one. But
yeah.
turn the fans on. It's Joe. No, it's
I mean, we could still throw that event, and if only 15 of us come, like it is what
Dude,
it is.
I'll go sweat it out in some farmer's field. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care.
But a lot of those big venues are air conditioned. Then all of a sudden they're a wedding venue, and then the price just goes from $500 to $5,000. It's pretty stupid.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's a tough one. I like so my wife's from Ephrata, so knows a lot of like I know enough people out. Well, I used to know enough people out there. I was like, oh, that shouldn't be that big of a problem. But then you're like, right, like there's no air conditioning, not in any of the like working barns, unless you like it's literally like a event space. Didn't think about it.
Yeah. Oh, so your wife's from Ephrata. How did you guys get to the West Coast?
My wife works in finance, so she took a job out here, and I just moved with her because it's easy for my job to move. So we met at Shippensburg. Okay, for those of you who are unaware, Shippensburg is a college. It's part of the college system of Pennsylvania, so it's equivalent in my mind of like a University of Texas at A&M or like at Arlington or at San Antonio, right? Like there's Shippensburg, there's IUP, there's Millersville, and they're all state schools and they're all basically the same shit. It's just like which one is closest to your hometown. That's what I went to. I met my wife at that school, and then I went off and did army stuff, and we soon followed and figured it out.
What army stuff did you kind of do?
It was an artillery officer. So, the National Guard unit that's in Carlisle.
Yeah. My neighbor actually worked at the barracks up there.
Bingo. So that's first the 108th Field Artillery Headquarters Battalion. When I first joined, like because I joined like during the surge, and so instead of going through ROTC, I went to basic training, came back, did like one training course with ROTC, and then commissioned as an officer. And then went on active duty because they needed basically everybody on active. As long as you were breathing without a federal crime, you were going to go on to active duty. And like depending on the federal crime, you could still get on to active duty, right? Like it was not tough. And then rode that out for about 10 years where we moved around a bunch. But I still not keep in touch, but I still follow a bunch of guys who are part of that unit or got out and still kind of live in the area. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. My youngest brother, he's special forces in the army.
nice.
So he did he went out to school in Philadelphia through the ROTC program, and then
Yep.
jumped into special forces, and he's currently in Savannah at the moment, doing his shit.
Yep. Good place to be in Savannah. So Philadelphia, this is 20 plus years ago, but that is the headquarters for the 5/6 Stryker Brigade, which is like the brigade that is within Pennsylvania. So a couple unique things about Pennsylvania is that we're like the only state that has like an entire division's worth of National Guard inside the like state border, basically. Like other states, they'll combine states to like make a division, right? Pennsylvania, for whatever reason, it's probably just like a cultural thing. Like there are like literally two brigades worth of like National Guard people inside Pennsylvania. It's it's like not something that is very common at all. Like I don't even think California does it.
We actually have at our work several people that are in National Guard, and like they have to be like, oh, hey, I'm active right now, so like I'm just gone for the next week or 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, little annual training time where they go fucking waste money in the woods. It's a good time.
That's right. That's right.
Smoking cigs in the woods. The well, dude, I'll talk to you about that all the time. So I want to get back to the event slightly, and then we'll get way off topic. But for your first GloryCon, what friction points did you run into? Like either right, like day of, stuff during, before, like what are the like traps that fell upon you that others could avoid?
Okay, so let's see. When I was doing my first GloryCon, I reached out to DFB. I was like, I think this was. No, wait. Let me backtrack a little bit. I announced I'm gonna do this GloryCon event. We came up with this grand idea, had a couple tie-ins, so we had a theme, and then we rolled it out. Then we just promoted the crap out of this thing. No matter how ridiculous I looked dressed at Eternal Weekend. And then it was like, all right, now we need to work out some of the details of people that are actually going to come into town from out of town. Possibilities of where they could stay, parking situation. It's Gettysburg. It's not a big deal. There's always street parking. There's always a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, it's not too bad. In the summer, it's terrible, but like in the winter, not a problem.
Right. But like if you're in some other city, that's a big concern. Is where are these people going to park? So I kind of got those things lined up, and then I reached out to DFB, and I was like, I think I have things in my head of what might be my snafus. What do you worry about? What are things that you need to do? And one of the things that he said was it's tables and the size of tables.
Oh God, dude, yeah, you're right. Fuck. Yes, I've been to events where the tables are either really small or too big. You're right.
There's also venues that just are usually just like weddings, and they'll just have 8-foot rounds.
Yep, 8-foot rounds.
You can't play Magic on those. So I'm pretty sure Dave just like always plans on renting tables every single time to make sure the tables are correct. The Dobbin House actually had that, they had like 3x3 tables.
Yep.
That they just line up in rows, and we could move them wherever we needed to, create aisleways wherever. It was a good situation there. I have a list of, I think, nobody prepares for anything, but I just pulled up things. I think this is the first GloryCon. Yeah, it is. So if you got people from out of town, what are you going to do the night before? Like find a place to go hang out. Just go find a bar. Doesn't have to be anything special. But something that we did run into when we were looking for a Friday night place is actually go ask around to the places. And we actually realized this when Levi's always my devil on my shoulder. He's always the naysayer of things, which I definitely need that because I'm the positive guy. Everything will work out in my head. I need the negative Nelly to just tell me, no, that's not going to work. And I love him for that. But when we first started talking to the Dobbin House, I was like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna play cards, and they were like, no, you can't play cards because there is a weird law in Pennsylvania that playing cards is gambling, and if there's gambling happening, you can't sell alcohol.
Yes, because
And
that's why riverboats happen in Pennsylvania now.
yes, because Pennsylvania is one of the most ass backward states for gambling and alcohol.
You guys still have Sunday blue laws on Sunday? Can you buy alcohol on Sunday?
No, they opened that up 2-3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to where like you can still, but it's like specific hours that you can actually buy
Right.
alcohol.
Okay.
It's
but still just bad. Yeah.
But you still can't buy alcohol, like hard alcohol, anywhere. That's still only state stores.
It's still state stores. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, like just know your laws for alcohol. And sometimes, like when you talk to a venue, they view cards as gambling.
Yes, like actual playing cards, not like I call it a children's card game. That usually helps smooth.
But you
stuff
still
over.
said the word card game, and that still sets off a red flag to some managers.
Good to know.
Because Levi and I went on a binge drinking expedition the one evening, trying to find a Friday night thing, and we were just going to every single bar in Gettysburg, and we would just get, no, we're not doing that. We have 500 square feet of space upstairs that nobody uses anything with, but you can't play cards in it because we have alcohol.
I mean, those liquor licenses like $250,000 a piece last time. Like, yeah, I mean, you're not risking it. Like,
yeah, and so they don't. So when we were talking, we had to really smooth it over with the Dobbin House to be like, yes, we're playing cards. We are getting prizes, but we doodle on them so the prizes are worth nothing. And
it's actually negative money to come to these events. Yes.
Like, yeah. So like having to like hard sell that manager on it the first time was really hard. I had multiple phone conversations with him trying to explain what we did and how this was not going to affect his liquor license. And then after the first one, when he realized how high his alcohol sales was, I've been invited back ever since. So
nice, good.
So the Friday night thing, trying to find a spot and just get it okay with the venue that you're actually going to play cards there and sell alcohol. Just know your local laws, right?
Yep.
Let's see here. Day of stuff, parking rules. Just be very clear on what the construction rules are, what your proxies are, what your reprint policies are, those kind of things. Usually I think that's the main thing people, us card nerds focus on, is exactly what those details are.
Yeah, but they're like the easiest ones to figure out, right? Like,
yeah. Just be very clear on those things. Deck photos. Where are you sending deck photos? Talaria is a great place to just be able to upload deck photos to, as long as you set things up in Talaria correctly to where your users are actually there. People have used, Airtable before. I just prefer an email link. Just send it to me email. I can move it wherever I want from email. But some people are protective of what email they send stuff to. So just create a fake Gmail account and go from there.
Smart. Okay.
Let's see. These big events, they're going to run for a lot of times. One of the things that I didn't want to do was, I hate being hungry. I hate trying to I got to pack some beef jerky so I can play between rounds. No, if you're going to have a meal, plan a break. Let everybody relax. We're all middle-aged men. We don't need to grind, forever. Just let us eat, let us chill, have a good time. But be aware of everybody's dietary needs. So just have backup plans for who's going to eat what, and go from there.
Yeah, that's smart. I just saw that Sean's event at the Swedish Club, he had multiple they did a really good job of catering that event, and A, probably the best we'd have had at an event. B, multiple options, including vegetarian options, which is maybe a bigger deal on the West Coast than it is in Central Pennsylvania, but good to have for people, for sure.
Sorry, grabbing another beer.
No, we got to pause real quick. Are those Yinglings? Are those Yingling lagers?
No.
Oh, disappointing.
My brother, who's in the military, apparently Yingling doesn't go across the Mississippi.
Yes, mostly true.
Okay, mostly true. He was stationed in near Seattle there for a while.
Definitely not out this far, for
Yeah,
sure.
you can't get it. But currently, I've got Yards IPA.
Nice. Okay. All right. It's the one. It's like I don't really drink, but if a Casey Yingling like if I see a Casey Yingling, I'm like, all right, I guess we're drinking some beer tonight, boys. Like it doesn't it doesn't even matter. It could be like a Tuesday. I'll be like, fuck it, we're doing this.
When my brother was stationed out there, every time he moves, I help him move, and then wherever he goes, I help him. I'm basically just his bitch for just setting up the house.
Yeah,
So it's usually
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
me painting every single room in his house nonstop for a week. But when he went out to Seattle, we drank vitamin R.
Yeah.
So that's the Rainier, just generic beer out there.
Yes.
Yeah, so I drank multiple cases of that that week when we did that.
Apparently, they are now owned by one of the big bev companies. It's not. They're not. It's not the same Rainier you may have had.
Really?
That's what I've been told. I can't confirm or deny, but that's what I've been told. And I drive by that factory fairly often.
It's still the same shit beer that you find in any corner of the United States.
Oh, 100%. Like if you rip the labels off, you'd be like, it could be Bud Light, could be Rainier. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Genesee from New York, whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Lion's Head Light. Have you ever drank Lion's Head Light? That's a
not light. I've drinking more than one Lion's Head in my day. I used to like the taste. Like you taste like copper, right? And I like that taste. Like when I was in
nostalgia is so weird, right?
yeah, like when I was in college, I was like, hey, there's a game. Okay, if you've never had a Lion's Head, there's under the caps, there's like a little game you can play, and then you flick the cap at people for fun. But the beer tastes objectively terrible unless you like the taste of copper, and I like the taste of copper. So, dude, I used to like just drink them, like not even get drunk, but like drink them, and then I stopped because I like grew up a little bit, I guess. But yeah,
There's a
I love a Lion's Head. I've never had a light though.
there's a couple of those riddles that run the caps
Yeah.
that my brothers and I we started collecting them and like tried to figure them out. And the one time this was before I started scouting, and I became an adult. I had young kids, but like the kids weren't old enough to go camping yet. So my
Right.
brothers and I all kind of got together and just did our own camping,
Yes.
and which is basically just get drunk in the woods for a night, right?
Yeah.
So we had some Lion's Head Light there, or Lion's Head, and there was a couple riddles that we couldn't figure out, and they're like symbols and things. So
Yes.
one of the ones was since we couldn't figure it out, we just sounded out the symbols, which was one of them was nice to steak sheep.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that actually translated to nice to meet you.
Yes. Like I had one that was like, "Will you be mine?" And there was like a B and like some
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff like
So
shit like that.
yeah, nice to steak sheep. So it was like a N, an ice cube, a steak, and a sheep, which means you. So still to this day, I'll see my brothers and we'll just say, nice to steak sheep and just like go about our day and hang out at the holiday.
Dude, have you ever seen for everybody listening, we're probably done talking about like actual magic stuff here for a second. But have you ever seen Lion's Head like outside of like the Cumberland Valley? I don't
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I thought it was like a thing. Like I thought it was like a regional type beer that like other people drank. Like if I went up to like IUP to like when I was playing rugby, right? Like we would travel to other schools. They would like we mostly stick to Natty because obviously that was your cheapest. Like like a keg, quote unquote. They're really half kegs in like real life, but what we would colloquially call kegs, right? It's always Natty Ice, Natty Light, whatever was $40, which was inevitably the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes Lionheads would dip from like 45 to 40, and that's what would show up. Stuff, you know what I mean? But I don't think I've ever seen it like outside of like the Pennsylvania college system. I've definitely never seen it out here.
Yeah, so like the listening audience needs to tag us on Twitter and be like, oh yeah, hey, I've seen it out in such and such a place. Please do.
Yeah, yeah, all three, like Levi's listening. Levi's like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna tag you from Dillsburg. Like, yeah, like, um, dude. Okay, so you go camping up at Tuckahoe, which is like right where my parents, like where I grew up, where my parents had their house. Did that golf course get bought out?
No, that golf course is still there. And actually, my
Bridging golf course.
yeah, Rains Ends. My wife started working at a State Farm,
Okay.
and that agent actually moved to, I think it's Rage End Road,
Yes.
right there, just outside of Billsburg after the last light. Their parking lot looks out at one of the holes, and her
Yes.
coworker just yesterday got hit with the golf ball.
Fuck yes.
Right on the windshield, shattered the whole thing. The golf ball still laying there, and no nothing. Just
Yeah.
that was
for Levi still listening, or everybody who's not Levi still listening. Range and Golf Course has a road that cuts through it, and like normally, like 2023, they'll put up nets. Dude, Range doesn't have those fucking nets, so like you can drive like basically between the split between the first nine and the back nine. There's a road, and I used to take that road home all the time off of 15, and that road, dude, you were guaranteed to get a hit at some point in your life, like. Because people who play at Range In were like the round fee is like $36. Like you're gonna take one to the windshield at some point. Factual. Fuck. Oh man.
funny shit.
Yeah, the when I was growing up, our next door neighbor was the greens manager for that golf course. So he used to like drive a golf cart back and forth from like our house to work. And it was fantastic. Were there any as back to events real quick, any like as far as like Sunday, Saturday night, closing it all out, is there any booby traps there that people should avoid stepping in? You know what I mean? Like,
well, let's go to like actual day of stuff. Okay.
okay,
I think we did like evening before stuff.
yes,
A little bit logistics, how you're getting into town, where you're going to stay. And then, so the day of, like, you just need to know when you're going to open, and then who's all going to be there at the event. So if you got a vendor, if you have an artist, God bless DFB for hooking me up with Jeff Mangus. Jeff Mangus is an awesome dude. Initially, we weren't really going to do anything. I didn't have a budget for that stuff. And then like that GloryCon swords just kind of happened. Is like, yes, this is such a good idea. I don't care what it happens to the budget. Like, we're doing it. It was awesome. But just know who's coming to the event and make sure they're early before your doors open. And then just make sure registration goes smooth. That's the biggest thing. People want to walk in the door, tell them your name, and then be able to just walk away and know it's taken care of. If it's a smaller event, 30-ish people, like, just laying it out on a clipboard and just checking people off, that's great. To where the LobsterCon of 200 some people are showing up for that thing, like you need to have internet going, everybody working on a Google spreadsheet just to know who's going where. The judge up front knows what's happening. Just like, there is a lot of coordination that needs to happen for a big event. But baby steps to get there, right? You just need to figure out a couple of small things. And by all means, anybody that's looking to plan an event, reach out to any of the tournament organizers that love to do this stuff. While it is a big headache, there are just some of us that are just geared to organize things. It's just what we're wired to do. So just reach out to us. We're happy to answer questions. And don't be afraid of failure. That's the biggest thing. Like, everybody that's going to come to an event that's run by the community, we're all okay if things just don't go as planned, especially if it's your first time. It's fine. We're just there to drink beer and hang out with friends anyway. Cards is the last thing that most of us are even thinking about.
That's exactly what I told Vexo when I went out to Vegas for their first event. I was like, dude, there are people here. There's alcohol here. It'll figure itself out. Like,
yeah, we are good. And then just, get everybody registered and fire the event off and go. Just the one thing that I can't stand is that the one thing, it's the one thing that I can't control. It's tournament software.
I was gonna mention like have a backup way of pairing people. Every
Yeah.
tournament I've been to, knock on wood, except for one, there has been tournament software issues. Like multiple different systems too, like not like just one system. Other people,
Yeah.
like a bunch of other people's systems, fucking up.
Yeah, and just listening to reports of different tournaments that have happened around the area, every single system just has some kind of bug that doesn't work. And it's the biggest fear of a tournament organizer for that to fail. I have no control over it. I don't know what to do. Like, so just have a backup plan, like you said. Um, we had the last Old Order Cabin event in August, and I went and I paired everything. Everything was going great, and it glitched. I didn't know what happened. It's only 16 of us. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you can math it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, just just keep drinking beer. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We weren't going to do anything else. So I go and I reload everything, and it glitches again. I'm like, huh, that's weird. And then you just break it down, do it by hand, and you go on with your day. But at least have a backup plan, or know that even just people attending, just relax, man. It'll happen. Just drink another beer. It's fine.
Just an extra break. Just an extra break between rounds.
Yeah. Something else to touch on with events is a charity raffle.
Yes. And how you do this charity raffle matters too, I think.
Yes, and you also have to pay attention to local laws.
Ooh, good. Ooh, good point. Okay.
So when I did the first GloryCon, everybody does raffle at events. I'm going to do one too. Well, it turns out like raffling is gambling in Pennsylvania.
True statement.
You have to have a special license. So the first one, I had no idea how to get around it. So I just said it's not a raffle. I called it door prizes. And you could get door prize tickets if you like went over here to this table and
yeah, the ticket man and the money man are different things.
Yes. Since then, I tried to actually work with a legitimate fire company that had a gambling license.
Yep.
And it was a mobile and gambling license, but they could not change counties. Again, check with your local laws, all that other bullshit. But what we found out that researching through Pennsylvania is that Chinese auctions are not gambling.
Really? Okay.
So if anybody's not familiar with Chinese auctions, it's basically you're going to buy an X amount of tickets, and you can place these tickets in actual specific items. Yes. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like raffle for individual items rather than raffle. You put all the names in one to just draw whatever.
Right.
Again, Pennsylvania's stupid. And how the name Chinese auction doesn't mean raffle, I don't know. But that is a loophole. We can do Chinese auctions here. Just check with your local laws, and especially what your venue's comfortable with is probably the biggest
thing. That's a good point. The I like the raffle, and so Sean usually has one big item that like you can like openly bid on, like auction at, and then he also has done like the put your tickets on the specific thing, and I think that's pretty. I like that system the most. I think that works out fairly well. Like you want to auction the big thing to like generate some excitement, but you can still like get people with being like, oh, my ticket's specifically going to go towards getting, I don't know, like a beta disenchant or some shit.
Right.
I think it feeds both markets, like feeds both people.
Yeah. And every time that I've been to an event that has a specific, the Chinese auction where you put your tickets in for a specific thing, I have never, ever won any of that. Just
really never?
Never. And one of those reasons is because I will like, oh, I want that one thing. I will put all my tickets into that one thing.
I do the same thing.
And then be clearly disappointed.
you gotta. So you're picking. You probably want like the good stuff, right? Like you want like you're like, oh, I see like Broussard altars on the and
It's
like
usually an
like
altar. Yeah, it's
yeah,
usually an altar.
exactly. That's your problem. You gotta go for the second level fruit, and then you dump like $100 or $200 worth of tickets into there. You look. You don't get 8.5 Alpha Pegasus by putting your tickets into altars. Okay, you
I'm
don't do
pretty
it.
sure there's a warden that wants that card. Just saying.
These so not Sean from out here, Shane got a bunch of these. Like he has like a stack of them. I more than 20, I want to say. And I think he may have sent them off. And he brings these to every event as like his like this is what I bring to the auction. So there's been one
Contribution.
of these at like every event I've been to for 2 years now. And this is the first one I've kept a hold of.
Nice. So the next time you go to an event, I got to send you $20 to just put in the pot for one of those things.
I got you covered. We'll get something going.
Okay, awesome.
We'll get
So
something going.
speaking of the one big thing, let's just like talk about the new Glory Con that's happening, right?
Yes.
I
It
just
just
announced
came
that.
out.
Yeah, just announced that the ticket sales are going to go on sale October 22nd,
Yep.
1 p.m. I'm going to turn it all on. We got Drew Tucker there. Drew Tucker is going to do a unique piece, and he's actually going to auction it off that day, which is different than anything else that we've ever done. Half is going to go to him, and half is going to go to the charity, which is, again, I'm a big scouter, so it's going to be split between the Cub Scout pack that I'm still a part of and was Cub Master for a long time, and the Scout troop that I'm currently Scoutmaster of. Just to do some whatever the hell those scouts want to do with. The scouts run the program, and that's why all my weekends are basically gone.
And what I'll say for people who've never been a part of Scouts or don't know what Scouts is, like it's a lot of those kids, they're like at to advance, like to gain not rank, but basically rank inside Scouts, like you have to do community service. So a lot of like funding that really just funds like truly homegrown community run stuff. The one of my friends was an Eagle Scout and he like redid an entire trail, like a mile plus of trail, for basically nothing, his own hard work and plus some of mine. So it was terrible. But like that's where that money's going. Just in case anybody was curious about like, oh, like what am I actually funding? But just
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
My son is currently so like we've been trying to schedule this for a couple weeks. My son's Eagle project is in 8 days. He's
Oh boy.
doing redoing the benches in our outdoor chapel and adding benches and a railing that goes down a grassy slope to where we do not Greek, Creek full immersion baptisms. But
Yep.
there's never been any place for any of the old people to sit and see. So we're just adding like 5 benches, a hand railing. It's just going to be all manual digging. It's going to be some brutal work for the people that are going to volunteer for it, but it's going to be awesome for the elderly that just want to see people get baptized.
Yeah, it's definitely the Eagle. I never made it that far. I'll tell you a fun story about that. But the Eagle Scout part is earned in blood for sure. A lot of sweat too. Factual. I've never seen somebody not do like a physical project to get their Eagle Scout. Like I've never seen like something else. I've just seen like we dug a trench, like a really long trench, or like you know what I mean, like shit like that.
Yeah, like scouts in my unit have like, oh, we're gonna like tear up everything in front of this VFW and replace it with all new
Yeah,
bush. We're
yeah.
we're we're gonna dig holes and put exercise equipment in this outdoor park. Like it is just you're right. It is brutal work.
And I'll say two things. We are probably done talking about Magic at this point, but I never made it. I never made it well as a scout. Because I was at Tuckahoe for my first summer camp, and I pull out my pocket knife, right? And I'm from like I grew up in Dillsburg, so I just had a pocket knife, and they're like, "Do you have a pocket knife like license?" And I was like, I didn't say fuck, but I was like, "What?" In my mind, I'm like, "What the fuck do I need a license for this knife for?" And that's when I knew I probably wasn't going to make it as a scout. That's like the people were cool. I have nothing bad to say about that, but I like couldn't handle the structure of it. That was I love the camping part though.
So I've just been having some conversations with our Cub Pack, and like part of being a scoutmaster is realizing that there's a structure of rules with scouting, and just like what you
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
is there's these rules that you need this license, which is totemship.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
okay, and so it's our job as leaders to be able to let the scouts do what they want and weed through the grasses of the rules that um, National Boy Scouts of America says we have to do. Um, because at the end of the day, if the program isn't super fun and exciting for the scouts to do, nobody's going to do it.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the shit. What is it's the longer camp in the summer that is held up at Tuckahoe. It has a special name, or at least it used to.
That's just summer camp. They do a couple
Okay.
of different sessions of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a great time, like no doubt. Like good memories from that stuff. Uh yeah, it's just I like learned that.
Were
What's that?
you ever at Camp Conewago? That's like in New Oxford, just south.
I never went out. I never went out of state for it. Like I got out of scouts before that happened.
Okay, because Camp Conewago is like the second oldest scout camp in the entire country. It's like 20 acres. That's like 15 miles from me. It's the most primitive camping you could possibly imagine, and it's just so nostalgic for me because my scoutmaster back in '96 also played Magic.
Yeah.
So I would go camping to Conewago just so him and I could just jam Magic game after Magic game all day
Yeah.
long. All the other scouts, run around, chop their fingers off without their pocket knife
That
license.
was me. That was me. Like just like fuck, I cut myself again, guys. Like
Yeah, so where I'm sitting there, trying to tap Adu and Oakenshield and Hell's Caretaker to bring back whatever, and he's trying to Royal Assassin my shit. Like that was the best fucking times of my life, is what I remember. It's why I'm so hooked on old school Magic. It's old school Magic and scouting is just like hand in hand. That's just me. Um,
yeah, I think a lot of guys probably learned how to play Magic from the Boy Scouts, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised at all. We played Magic, but it wasn't like a big thing. Like we had I was part of the Dillsburg group, and I'm gonna mess up like terminology here, but we used to get together like bi-weekly, maybe weekly, at the firehouse in Dillsburg because it was like a gymnasium more or less, and it might still be. I haven't been there in a very long time, but and like it we weren't doing anything like relatively scout related. It was just so like parents could get together and like have adult conversation, and then kids could like act like little kids, right? Like that's
yeah,
truly what it came down to.
and maybe like that was a committee meeting. They did that
Sure,
upstairs.
I don't know. Sure, it might have been like
They just did whatever.
yeah, it may have been like my memory is muddy of all those situations, but I vividly remember having to go there on a regular basis to deal with it. So, but good
Yeah,
times.
I think there's so many people in the old school space that totally feel the scout thing, the nostalgia, just learning to play Magic on the concrete or wherever it was, just completely, not on a tabletop, and none of these cards meant anything at that point.
Oh, yeah. No, zero sleeves, just like on the cement, just doing shit,
Oh yeah, yeah.
living lives. Not a cell phone in sight. The is there anything else Magic related you want to talk about?
No. Do you want to
Okay.
talk other things like shift work or?
Yeah. Hold on. I'll leave it running. Whatever. Fuck it. If people
Oh
want to
yeah,
listen
yeah.
past this point, go
Definitely,
ahead. It's like an
definitely.
hour. We're at hour and 20. I'll just make a note at the beginning. Like I'll be like, hey, you can just stop here. Hey, what print shop do you work at?
I work at the Sheridan Press in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I'm gonna pull that up in Google Maps real quick. I think I would never go to Hanover that often, right? Because I lived like basically right up the road from Tuckahoe, but I feel like
Yeah,
I
so,
know where
so,
that is.
so you're in Dillsburg. That's where
Yes.
Levi lives. I
Yes.
live in I live in between Hanover and Lake Mead, or Hanover and Dillsburg. I live in Lake Mead.
Yes.
Lake Mead,
Okay. Okay.
So for the people that are still listening, it's some bullshit like private community. We have a gate. We're better than everybody else.
Yeah. You're outside East Berlin. I know exactly where this is. Okay. Oh, there's Bermudian. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I've always
Got it.
gone to Bermudian. My parents moved to. All right. So all right. We're gonna really rewind. My grandmother
rewind.
moved in there in '78. Private community, built their own house, and then my parents moved in there in '82, 1 year after I was born.
Got it. Okay.
And then so I've been what the local police will call lake rat my entire life. My wife also went to school at Bermudian.
Okay.
And then we met in I'll say junior year. Hopefully she doesn't listen and I messed that up, but I'm pretty sure
We're good. We're good. We're good there.
There's no way
we'll be okay.
Anyway, so we actually like bought our first house in South Hanover. And South Hanover, for like, people that are in that area, Maryland people are fucking assholes. And they move across the line just to avoid the taxes that Maryland has.
Right, correct. Yes, dude. Yeah.
Okay. And where we bought that house in South Hanover, it was filled with fucking assholes and people that just couldn't like.
They work in Fredericksburg, but they would live with you and then just commute down like an hour plus. Yeah,
They're just terrible human beings. And like we would live there for 9 months, said fuck that, sold that house, and then we moved back into
moved in.
Yeah.
Dude, it was nice living that close to the border of Maryland because you could buy Everclear. So we used to like drive down from Chisholm, we go straight down fucking 15. Immediately as soon as you cross the border, there's that one store. I want to say it's a Native American store, but it's like right.
Are you down
across
15
the border?
Or are you down?
81. Down 81. No, hold on.
No, down 81. Okay, then I've never gone
15.
down 81.
Hold on.
I always drive down 15 and I hit that first beer store across the border. And if you go down South Hanover, it's Peters.
It's down 81. It's down 81. It's
yeah. I'm further away than 81. I never go that way.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely right. Like you cross the border, get the good alcohol at the cheap price, and then come back.
Just literally, you can pull a U-turn right there and drive straight across. And usually there's police sitting on both sides because they already fucking know the deal. And they're just like,
yeah.
Yep.
I was down at the one just past the border on 15, and there was a guy loading up Natty Light, just case after case. It was
rack on rack,
skid, and then just like right back up across the border. No fucks to give.
None. It's like, dude, I thought Pennsylvania like drinking laws would have gotten better over the last 20 years. But like when I turned 21, I had to go in Shippensburg. I was living across from a bar. So my 21st birthday was on a Sunday. So in order for me to drink on a Sunday at midnight 01, I walked across the street to Maxie's, which is the name of the bar. And I was like, I would like to purchase 2 6-packs. And I purchased those 6-packs and I walked outside, set them down, walked back inside. I was like, I would like to purchase another 2 6-packs. Because you can't purchase 4 6-packs at once in a bar, but you can buy 2, walk outside, set them on the ground, walk back in, buy 2, and then leave. And like everybody's cool. Like it's like
that's normal. That's normal.
Normal shit. Normal shit.
So currently they changed the laws, and you can actually buy beer and wine in a grocery store now.
Oh, okay. I wasn't around when that changed.
But you can only buy. It's something stupid like 207 ounces at a shot. Okay. It is so stupid. But again, everybody knows that law. You walk in, you buy it, you take it back out to your truck.
Drive out, and you go back in. You're like, hey, me again.
Nobody cares.
I don't get it. I'm still surprised ABC's like state liquor stores are around too. I mean, like I know it's lucrative for the state, but like I don't know. It's one of the weird things where like if I go back to the East Coast, like it throws me for a loop. Like I know it exists, but like out here you can buy shit fucking wherever. It's not a big deal. But
yeah, it's like I don't know. Every single state around Pennsylvania. I hope somebody hits us up on Twitter and just like, no, it's just as stupid in this state. Or I keep saying Twitter. I just had this argument with my son. It's not Twitter, Dad. It's X.
It's X now. I'm still calling it Twitter because I'm never gonna change from that. I'm
That's
just not
because
going
we're
to.
grumpy old men and we're never going to change, right?
I mean, probably, but like it's just when you say X, it's the the sound of like saying the word X or the letter X, like Twitter, right? Like how you say it, it allows it to flow. Where if you say X, that's more of like a stopping sound. This is hard to describe what I'm trying to say, but the physical sound of saying X makes you not want to say it, right? Whereas like, because it ignore what I'm just ignore. I will write this out at some point and figure it out, but not even inebriated, just drinking waters, just drinking waters.
We're gonna make eye contact.
Yes,
We're gonna say X.
X. Like it just lends itself to like not saying anything after that. You're like X. I'm like, oh, cool, dude. The I'm sad I'm not going to get to come out to you this year. My choice was come see you or go to Vegas. I chose Vegas only
It's like
because your event wasn't scheduled yet. But
it's 2 weeks apart. Vegso was out at my last LoreCon.
yes,
We talked to each other like, hey, he's booking it this weekend. I'm booking it this weekend. We both agreed that we don't think we're really competing for the same
just
players.
me, just me.
And that's fine. Like you didn't go to Vegso's event last year.
No, I
Like
did. I did go last year because it
you
worked
did go?
out. I flew in Saturday morning and flew. I was
Oh,
there less
that's
than
right.
24
That's
hours.
right.
I was like, just did one of those.
Yeah, you just did a
The
cannibal thing. Yeah.
just and I'm staying a little bit longer this time just because the wife said she'll go with me this time.
Ah,
But yeah, that changes the math. I want to come back out. So I know this year's going to be GloryCon. Next year, you're going to go back to a non-GloryCon event, like an
yes.
no, maybe not anti, but something similar to like an off rules event.
Yeah. So what I was just telling you about that bullshit bridal event thing that I
Yeah,
went
yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
that perfect event, that a venue is too nice for Magic players to play in. I don't know what I'm gonna do there, but like I called and I was like, hey, I want to do a Saturday event. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a wedding thing, it'll cost you $4,000. I'm like, well,
What if it wasn't a wedding? Like,
right, but like then I started like talking to him. I was like, well, if initially I was like, it's gonna be a 5-hour event for 500 bucks. And then I was like, well, if I just book the Saturday afternoon for $500, what are you going to do Saturday morning and Friday night? Well, just another $500 event. So why don't I just like book everything for $1,500 and call it a day? And he's like, oh yeah, okay, fine, you can do it for $1,500. So I can have that place for $1,500. It is too nice. I think I want to make everybody dress up fancy,
okay.
but I just don't know what kind of theme I can throw that into old school.
Can we
You
just
know?
have a bonfire? Can we go out to a cornfield and then take a little bit of gasoline and a bunch of old scrap wood that we found on the farm,
I
start a
mean, shit.
fire? Can we do that?
I know
Can we get
dozens
back to
of people that we
grassroots
can
shit? Okay. All right.
do. I know dozens of people that we can do that with.
All right. Get a
Uh,
little corn whiskey.
yes, but like actually having a place to play in that you're comfortable with, like again, the air conditioning in the summer, whatever.
Yeah, it'll be sweaty. It'll be sweaty. Okay, good. All right. Because I'm trying to think. So like here's I talk about this with other people, but like there's like an embarrassment of riches with regards to European events, right? Like there's a European event basically every weekend from here until eternity.
Yes.
And they're all high quality events. And in America, we have a bunch of events, right? But they're not as many. And for whatever reason, like we are not like they are the Europeans. I know that they're different countries and different people, but they have gotten very good at somehow miraculously deconflicting, with the exception of one event, well, two events technically, but on the same weekend, they've all deconflicted themselves. So where you can literally go every weekend if you really wanted to. You're not going to be like, oh, I have, with the exception of Arvika slash the World Championship Team Unified. Those are on the same weekend, but everything else has like spread itself out. Um,
And pre-COVID, the U.S.
yeah,
was like that. I
yeah,
actually like trying to shoehorn GloryCon in for the first time was really hard in the American schedule. And for whatever reason, after COVID happened, TOs have dropped off. I don't know what has happened. I know the beasts, or not the beast, the lords are more underground, and there are definitely more communities that, and in all honesty, like when I held GloryCon 2 years ago,
right.
the second one,
Hmm.
it was very early in the aftermath of the pandemic, and where I was not requiring masks or COVID shots or whatever else that was going on. And
Right.
there was some backlash on it because it was not accepted yet. And there's many communities in the United States that just said, you know what? Fuck that. I don't need to deal with that. We have enough of our own people. We're just gonna play, at John
Yeah.
Bing's house and just go to town.
Yeah. Just like 6 or 8 dudes who just play like on the weekends in the middle
Yeah.
of Ohio.
And most of us have played kitchen table magic for forever, so that's perfectly normal. Um, I think we as the United States as a whole needs to just open up and do those things more. I've had that conversation at Chalice with a couple other. I went to Chalice one year,
Yeah.
and I had that conversation with a couple other TOs that um, I'm on the stance that every old school club should host an open event.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that's something that's in the pack rules to be a pack club member. I
Is it?
think
I don't know. I've never looked.
is that you're supposed to host a open event. If you host a open event, you can hold as many private events as you want and
Hmm.
just invite only stuff. But our community that has been growing for year after year after year, if we only do invite only stuff, it is going to shrink and shrink and shrink. Because while I might be able to get 16 dudes to play in a cabin in bumfuck nowhere, Pennsylvania, eventually one of those dudes is going to sell off his stuff to buy one of his kids his first car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never gonna see that guy again. It's gonna shrink. It's a finite amount. If you don't have that open invite, if you don't open that up to the Facebooks, the Twitters, hey, come here. I'm going to host you. It's cold in Gettysburg, but whatever. Like,
It's
we're
not
gonna
that bad. I'm trying to tell people that shit. I'm like, it's not that fucking bad. Like, it's really
no,
not.
it's not because Pennsylvania is right in the middle of the frost line, so it's never really snowy. It might
No.
snow, but it's not.
It's like once every like I think 93 or 95 was like the last big blizzard that I remember. But
Oh yeah, were you a part of those things? Yeah.
I was young, so that was like fucking awesome. I like loved it, but I'm sure my parents fucking thought it was terrible.
Oh yeah, because the parents were worried about digging out the driveway, where you and I were like just like sledding out
I was like,
back.
yep, guess we're going sledding. Yep, fuck it, we're done here.
Fourth day in a row, we're out of school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, 100%. Oh man, the I need to make like a concerted effort to come out and see you guys. What I want to do is take like a longer period of time, come out, do an event with you guys, and then like go relive my quote unquote glory days, aka like go up to Dillsburg. I heard like Paul's Pancake Barn that used to be like on 15.
Yep.
Like I heard that's like not that's not what it is anymore. It's something else. I used to get
No,
trashed at that bar all the time.
it's a brewery. It's like there's a devil's face on the side of that bar now. I can't think of the name of it, but it's a brewery now.
Yes, because that place is less than a mile from where my house was. So I used to like fucking just tough it up and like drive there and then walk home and then be like, I'll just get my car tomorrow. Cause like it's only a mile. It's not that bad. Right. Like,
But didn't like back in the heyday, didn't they operate Paul's Pancake Barring as like a hey, it's gonna stay open till 4 a.m. so everybody that gets out of the bar at 2 a.m. can just come eat and then pass out at home.
so I've been there a few times where the kitchen, somebody was still in the kitchen at like 1 or 2 in the morning, but that's when I called it quits. I'm sure that they quote unquote closed, but didn't close. They probably just turned out the lights. And I mean,
and
like,
then turn it back on.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they like that hotel, that motel chain that's right there. This girl I went to high school with, whose name is Artie Patel, her family owned that thing. I
That thing's
don't
still,
know. It doesn't. It mean, yeah, it's probably like done for. But
yeah, it's still there. I think it's some kind of road in or something.
yeah, I don't even. I mean, I can't even believe I pulled that name out of my ass. But like, I don't know. Who knows? It's pretty
That
crazy stuff.
84 lumber that's just up from there is still there, still functional.
Really?
I've
What?
watched all the other 84 lumbers just like close all around us, and that one's still open.
That's kind of insanity to me. Is that little strip mall still to the right, like strip mall to the right of aka old pancake house, like old
Oh
pancake
yeah,
barn? That's still
that's still
there?
there. Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah, I
there's
gotta
the
come back.
same
I gotta come back and
saw sharpening place in that thing
yeah,
forever.
yes. That dude used to sharpen lawnmower blades for my dad. So yeah, I know. I
Oh
know.
my gosh. Yeah, like everybody that's listened to this, like you guys really lived out in the sticks, didn't you? Like you're talking
It,
about like
but it's not. It's right on 15. Like that's what like it's hard to describe, but like Pennsylvania, here's how I describe Pennsylvania, and I've taken classes on like the politics of Pennsylvania for my first undergraduate. It's Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and like Alabama all in between, right? Like
Pennsylvania.
so yeah,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, like Berks County. Like people
Yeah.
like fuck dude. Berks County like probably still is like a little backwoods, even though it's 2023. But like where like this is hard to my friends, like we still got off the first day of deer season when I was in high school, and I went to high school until 2003,
My
right?
kids
Like
do too.
they still get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not changing anytime soon.
Yes, they while I was in high school, they got rid of they made the rule that we couldn't keep guns in our cars because we used to be able to do that. And like
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
yeah. Since yeah.
there's some things that happened in there, right? But like I vividly remember like days in high school where like dudes would be late to school because they like were bagging deer or like there were just like shotguns in the back of the truck and you're just like, yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever. And that
Yeah,
changed, but
normal.
like but it was fairly normal for the majority of my childhood career. But
Yeah,
anyhow.
same.
Yes. Okay. I'm
When
gonna end
when,
this podcast at this point. But
when did you graduate high school?
2003 graduated Shippensburg 2007.
Okay. I graduated high school in 99.
Yeah, there's definitely I think me and Levi are closer in age. What's weird is me and Levi never met each other. And we're closer in age. And he lives in Dillsburg. And that's kind of weird because we would have
Well,
gone to school.
he lived in Spring Grove and went to Spring Grove for.
Oh, okay, there it is. That's why. I was like, why do I not know you? Like we met at Chalice. And I was like, but why don't we know each other? Because the school was small enough that you would know each other,
Yeah,
even if we were off by 4 years.
you were at Dillsburg. I was at Bermudian, and he was in Spring Grove.
Spring
And
Grove.
probably anything you did magic related happened in Carlisle.
If like anything magic related for me at that point in my life happened at the kitchen table or like you know what I mean. It was not in
where
a
did you buy
shop.
cards? Where did you buy?
Comics Connection at the Camp Hill Mall.
Okay, in the Camp Hill Mall, which was just north of you. And then Levi and I actually met south in Hanover, in
Okay.
Comics Universe.
Okay. I mean, I know that shop. Like I know of that shop.
Yeah, and I know of the shop that you're talking about. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I often
So close to each
wonder.
other and never like actually
Right.
touching base is crazy.
And it's not that big of a like it's not like we like live in New York City, right? Like where there's like millions of people. There's probably a million people if you included all three of those townships together. Maybe. Maybe.
If that, yeah.
If, right? Like probably closer to 750 or 500. So it's just insane to me, right? Like but I used to drive to like Mechanicsburg like I worked in Carlisle, so my dad used to work for Dickinson College in Carlisle, right? Like he worked for that school. My mom used to work at the hospital in Carlisle, which I assume is still there. And then she later worked for the War College at their like on base medical stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely
Um,
there. Yeah.
yeah, the War College ain't going nowhere. That'll keep that place alive forever. So that's like I would work in Carlisle and do stuff like that's where if I was gonna like travel somewhere, it would just be to Carlisle because I just knew enough about the area as opposed to going like towards Mechanicsburg. Sometimes we go to Harrisburg just because it's relatively there, but that was like the big city, which Harrisburg is not a big city, but in my mind it was, right? Like
In my mind, that's the big city too.
like okay, but like all right, I will end this when I'm done talking about this part. But like, dude, I would not like Harrisburg was like where you could get in trouble. That's what I thought of like in high school. Like I'm like, oh, I'm like, we would go like do some dumb fucking shit, but like in the woods, right?
You
Like
could
you could
do all
easily
the
have lost,
in
yeah,
the
like
world.
easily have lost a hand. Nobody cared. Like I had a cop roll up on me once when I was out in the game lands doing something dumb, and he was like, "Stop being dumb, go home." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yes." Right? But if you were to go to Harrisburg, I'd be like, oh, there's probably drugs there. Like I'm not going. I can't go to Harrisburg. Something
Yeah.
bad will happen. I don't know. I don't know.
I know Levi actually lived there with his current wife, um, there for a good stint of time, and actually spent a lot of time in Harrisburg, like bar hopping,
Yeah,
and you learn your way around to be an actual, like, not get arrested human being. But like being just in the boondocks of what you just said, like just hamming the
yeah.
game land, screwing around, you'll never get arrested there.
No, no. Like they. Okay. For the three people who are still listening at this point, this is like we're almost at 2 hours. But this in Pennsylvania, there are state game lands. So like this is a place where you can go and hunt, shoot guns. Um, I used to blow stuff up. Like I used to like literally make explosives, allegedly, and then blow them up in this area because it's probably the safest place to do it. You could, and like there would be cops would come out there because they're not idiots, right? But like they would never arrest you. They'd just be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "Well," and they'd be like, "Just go home."
Like, I don't want
Like,
to.
yeah,
Just stop it.
just stop, just go, just stop it. As like long as you weren't doing something dumb during hunting season, right? Now it's
Yeah,
probably like the number one place to go get shot by your neighbor during hunting season because everybody who doesn't know a farmer who has private land is in that game lands, and that's a
yeah,
shoot,
and
dude.
then
That's a shooting alley.
yeah, those
October.
people don't actually shoot anything. You really need to know a farmer to actually get any game. Yeah.
I agree with that statement 100%. But like you could, have you ever done the Gettys? Have you ever done the drawing at Gettysburg to hunt on the actual battlefield?
No, and actually, Tuckahoe actually does that too.
Tuckahoe does drawings now too. Dude, I remember I might be wrong about this, but when I first started hunting, I thought Tuckahoe was like you just had to ask permission. Like as long as
It,
camps weren't going on, like you were and you like checked in, you were okay.
no,
I'm
there's
sure they
like
changed that.
they like schedule like this is the 1 or 2 hunting days that you can come onto the property and just
Really?
shoot whatever you
Hmm.
want. And
Okay.
for those that are watching, like the word, like Camp Tuckahoe, Tuckahoe in whatever Indian language it is means the land of the deer and the fawn. There are deer everywhere through that place.
Oh yeah, Pennsylvania's mismanaged its deer population. Like here, we can talk about this for sure. Pennsylvania has mismanaged its deer populations, right? Like, and so if you've ever like deer on the East Coast are much like they're a bigger whitetail, but they are not as big as they once were because we are over harvesting the wrong population, right? Like we should increase unless something has changed. The antler count whenever I was hunting there was three on one side was good. Like you were good to shoot for an antlered deer, and like and doe you get like one or two doe tags, but it's just people have been like hitting the top off of these populations, and it's just like button bucks and shit running around.
It is, it is,
Yeah.
it is. But again, like to your previous statement, if you don't know a farmer that actually has, the crop tags or the red tags, whatever they
Yep.
are, um, and when you go onto a farmer's land, like you can just shoot whatever the hell's there because
Hmm.
it's crop damage. It's crop damage. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And dude, there's some. I saw some big bucks on certain. Like I feel like they were cultivating, but it is what it is. Like because as far as I remember, you can't like in Texas. I hunted a little bit in Texas. I've not done any hunting in years, but in Texas you can run feeders, right? So you set your feeder to turn on at like sunrise, 5 minutes before sunrise, right? Feeder goes off. The deer are already preconditioned, so they walk up, and you're just like, all right, point at your target, engage. like, dude, you're done. Like it's target practice. It's not hunting, right? Like
Yeah.
you just, I don't know. It's a very different type of hunting. I'll say that.
It's the same thing in Pennsylvania. Like
You can do
you
that
can,
now?
oh, no,
Well,
I
I
had an
mean,
uncle that had a property just north of Tuckahoe.
okay.
And that's what he would do. He would just set a feeder up, and he could just get his normal state license, state buck tag. And just because it was just past his property line, which was state game lands, and he would just ping off whatever he wanted to,
Got it.
as long as he
Okay.
had a tag for it.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna stop this. We don't have to stop talking, but I'm gonna cut this because I don't think anybody wants to hear any more about Pennsylvania hunting. It's the worst. The what are your